What up, Pittsburgh Steelers fans? Matty P with Marky D. Another episode of Steelers Touchdown Under. We are here to talk all things Steelers as they look to go on the road at the LA Rams and consolidate a 3-2 lead of the AFC North right now. After we're recording this just after all the Sunday games finished, and the rest of the division is now 3-3. So pretty crazy with the Ravens beating the Titans over in London, the Bengals beating the Seahawks away. That kind of expected, but the one that's crazy without Deshaun Watson, the Cleveland Browns managed to beat the 49ers 19-17, I think the score was. And now the Steelers have still a chance. Like they're 3-2, still a chance to consolidate the lead mark. They're 3-2. Every other team's 3-3. They've got 2 out of 2 for the division. They got to win out now. Like they've got 3 games in a row if they can go beat the Rams. Their destiny is in their hands. I don't know what you think about that.
Well, it's still like an early season, right? So yeah, Ravens haven't another bye yet, so they're 4-2, I think, because they're leading it, but it doesn't matter because we have their win over them. So Steelers have the win over the Ravens, Steelers have the win over the Browns. The Bengals are catching up, and yeah, the Browns have a big shock today, but their defense is pretty good. Let's be honest, their defense is pretty good from the cornerbacks, their pass rushing. They're actually playing some solid football. They just can't figure out the quarterback position. And PJ Walker was from like the XFL and stuff like that. And shout out to him for having a chance. And they just went out and played football. The Niners lost their guys, McCaffrey. They lost Debo, which hurt my fantasy. You and I were fighting this week in the fantasy about 7-point difference. But also they lost their left tackle too. So Niners fans, bit of a shock. But man, this is one of the wildest weeks in a long time. And it just shows you that the players got to play and they turn up because the Jets beat the Jets. The Jets, Jets. But they got a good defense as well, though, too. You know, they got they got Zach Wilson over there, but they won their game against the Eagles and they didn't play too well. So it's like it is any given Sunday. But like I said, that like if the Ravens lose, Bengals lose, and Browns lose, sweet, we're still first if the Ravens did lose too. But they all won. So now technically the Ravens are first, but we've got to wait till all the buys sort out. Which is, next few weeks, stuff like that. But the biggest thing to take away is Steelers can back it up with a win. Go 4-2, I think it is. 4-2? Yeah, go 4-2. And also we've got 2 games over the division, which is 2-0. Right? I'm not thinking playoff shit, but I'm just saying like long term, like you just go.
I'm on the countdown. As I said before, like in the last couple of weeks, they gotta win 7 games. So what's the path to 7 games? And I think with the Cardinals losing to the Rams looked good with Cooper Kupp. You know what? Cooper Kupp's now 3rd Rams all-time list for most games over 125 yards. He's got a Super Bowl. I reckon Cooper Kupp ends up in the Hall of Fame.
Could do. He could do. He's got the ring, so could be a thing. I thought he was done. I mean, I thought the Rams team was done this year, but they're playing some good football as well. They're like 3-3.
Well, when you've got Stafford and you've got a couple of good wide receivers, and they've got a decent tight end. I think Hybee's still there, and we'll look at that later in the week as it progresses. They've got an okay run game even without Cam Akers. They've got enough there. It's just, and when you've got Aaron Donald on the defense, it's just about plugging a few other holes. So,
did you hear that Steelers are trading for Aaron Donald this week?
I was busy. I was going to ask you the question about what do you think of the Kirk Cousins rumors? I mean, I'm sick of seeing this clickbait, absolute crap. And an article that's on SteelerNation.com about Kirk Cousins, I'm going to call them out on it because they've come up with some ridiculous shitbag in recent time. Pardon my French. Is the thing I find so ridiculous about that as well is that, like, the article justifies itself with saying, it might not be that they bring in Kirk Cousins to replace Pickett. It's just that Pickett's rookie deal, Pickett can learn under Kirk Cousins. Why? And it said great thing about Kirk Cousins is he's had the 3,000 yards and minimum of 25 touchdowns every season for the last 6 seasons. I'm like, yeah, that's because he's the only quarterback, a starting quarterback that's been around in all 6 seasons. It's not been injured for a large point of time. That's the only reason why. Like, it's not because he's better statistically. And also, he's going to cost way more than Kenny Pickett, and we don't have the salary cap. So, I'm so sick of this clickbait crap.
It's getting worse. It's getting worse every year.
NFL, it's the Steelers. Like, I'm a geek about the fake media. It's the Steelers' fake media.
It 100% is. And it's getting worse, too, because, he can't win in primetime games. Just you can't do it. So there's no way the Steelers go and get think about it realistically. Like really think about it. There's no way they go and get Kirk Cousins. It's just not going to happen. That's why I saw the trade rumor about getting Aaron Donald. I'm like, with what money, with what cap? Why would they go and get him? It's not going to happen. So these things are crazy, man.
Unless you traded Cam Hayward, but even then, the gap in the money is like, I think it's something like $12+ million, and we don't have that in there. Like, why would you go and do that anyway? Like, Aaron Donald has said repeatedly he might retire.
Yeah, but it's just I think like I said before,
and I would never want to trade Cam. Cam's one of my favorite players ever, but like I'm just saying, like it's the only way you could legitimize it, and it makes zero freaking sense.
But it's getting some of these rumors are just getting out of hand though. Like and the rumors don't even start with actual sources from the Steelers. They start from the Bleacher Report, all those media outlets, and they started, and then we have to.
Yeah, but I'm getting shit with SteelerNation.com. I'm calling them out.
Oh, they're all
see
the
it
same
on Instagram, like. The stuff that they come out with, it's just not acceptable. Like
they're all the same, man. They're all the exact same. So they say trade ? And it's like, well, no. I even saw Ryan Tannehill, which was linked to the Steelers. It's not going to happen. They're going to go with Kenny for this year and next year.
Why would they go with Ryan Tannehill? What benefit is he better than? How is he better than Kenny Pickett?
How is he better than Kirk Cousins? They're both the same.
He almost lost his job to Malik Willis and Will Levis.
Yeah, but mate, you don't have to argue with me.
No, I know. I just frustrates the crap out of me when I hear that. You know,
it's just it's just beyond stupid. It really is.
It makes no sense. Right. Well, back to real Steelers talk. They come out of the bye. There's a lot of discussion about team meetings beforehand. Canada hasn't gone. We're parking the Canada conversation till after the Steelers have a slow offense. And until we see better, that's the way we're going to be. That's not being pessimistic. That's being realistic. But what do you expect? And I know it's hard. We don't, have a Steelers crystal ball or whatever, but what do you expect will change? Like coming out of all those player discussions, like if there's one thing, what do you think it's going to be that will change?
I think they're going to change probably the left tackle situation. I think they'll go with Jones, and he'll be the starter until it's kind of done. I also think that you'll see more of JPJ. So on the defensive side, you'll see more of him. I think as well, and then I'm going to get three different narratives, but I think as well the middle linebacker position is going to get stronger because I like the way they're playing football too. So I think this team can get back to it. But like I said before, a few weeks ago, they won the Ravens game. They really have to win this game to go back to back and like kind of get the Steelers fans back on their side and quiet the noise for Canada and quiet the noise for Tomlin. We've moved on, but it's like get back to football, go win a game, run the rock, and just tackle hard. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but they haven't been doing that. But I see guys like Corn on Instagram, and I see guys getting back like DJ coming back too. This team can fire up. Like right now, to me, they're not a playoff team. I want them to be. Then they can still win to get there, but they will get smoked in the playoffs by a lot of teams. But if they can be consistent from the bye and go out to the Rams, have a good game where they actually show up in the first drive, second drive, third drive, and be, because TJ Watt and Highsmith, they're doing a lot of work in this defense to keep them in. But if they can they can just get back at it and do fundamental things right and don't drop the balls like Gunner did or stuff like that, they'll have a chance, man, to beat the Rams. But I don't know. I don't know who I'm picking yet because I saw the Rams play some highlights today. They look pretty good. Look like they switched on. Sean McVay's out there coaching them up. Like Stafford, Aaron Donald, like we talked about. So it's a tough game. And as we saw today too with the Jets and all those guys, football's football, man. Like we see some crazy things in the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, and I think you're right about Highsmith and what, like, one you are, because it's abundantly clear on tape. But the defense keeping them in the game, like I talked about this as we started our TDU show on the weekend. 7 of 9 drives, punting the football and only having 2 field goals before they got a touchdown. That's just unacceptable. You can't. I think it was something that the first 5 out of 6 drives were punts. Not good enough. The first 3 drives, that's the pass mark for me now. Over the next 4 or 5 games, the pass mark for the offense is, can you score at least 3 points in your first 3 drives on offense? I don't want an Alex Highsmith interception and Stallion. That doesn't. Obviously, I want that, but that doesn't count. They need 3 points They need to hit a 30%, a third of their drives need to result in points on their side offensively. I don't want us to throw pick sixes.
They got to start fast. They haven't really started fast in probably about 3 or 4 years, really. They just really haven't. We've always been behind 10 points or 7 points or 7-7 or whatever it may be, or 13-0. And then, it gets out of hand. And also, I think Matt Canada has been on point saying that this offense wasn't built to come from behind, but then he kind of squashed those rumors too. So it was 1 week he said that, and then a week after he said he squashed it. But this team has to get fired up, and I think as well, like, you just have to. This falls on Kenny too, man. This starts to feel like now Kenny, man, as you had a bye, your team's terrible or you need to get better. Like, go out there and win a game and put some drives together. Like, have a plan. And the plan to me is run the football, get Darnell out there, get him the ball too, and get guys in space, man. Like you got to use tight ends more. I looked over the offense the other day. They have I think 11 receptions for 102 yards for tight ends in 5 games. And also too, I know I'm going on a lot of different tangents, but the running backs haven't scored a TD yet. Like, I'm not saying the fire stuff, but I'm saying it has to get better, 100%. And they can do that. Like, one good game can lead into another good game where you versus the Jags. And we just want to see, I think, like a complete football game on offense too. Now, versus the Ravens was complete because you had the special teams, you had defense, you had, offense coming to win near the end. But from the start and from the get-go, it never seems to, like, just work our way. Do you know what I mean? Like, from the kickoff, from the first handoff or the pass, it's always like a 3 and out, or the other team gets the ball and they score.
Do you know what it is? There's no fluidity to any of it. Like, you can't be confident in the Steelers' prospects. Every pass, you're like, oh, is this going to not go to where it needs to go? Or is this going to be the person's going to get smacked like Oshesky did that game? Like, is it on defense? The third and long, like I talk about the offense, the third and longs on defense, like the defensive backs just let the team down. And it's awful because we have the best I personally believe we have the best pass rush in the league, particularly when Cam Hayward's there. Between Ogunjobi's good, but Highsmith and Watt are fantastic. I think Holcomb could do more if they had better on third and longs. E-Rob is good at shutting down the run. Quan's been playing pretty well in terms of how he can rush the passer. The DBs let this pass rush down and this defensive line down. And that's got to change down the stretch because you're just going to lose games. You're going to be in it for the first third of the game, half of the game, 3/4 of the game, and you're going to get beat because teams are going to find a way to expose that. So that has to get better as well. And to me, it's not good enough when Terrell Austin is a defensive backs coach and the defensive coordinator. He has everything in his power. He's got the best pass rush in the league. He should be taking full advantage of those defensive backs and everything we've got. And especially when you got Minka, the best safety in the league.
The thing is too, like, the defense is playing, like, they've won us a few games. I think the whole team wins games, right? But they have won certain points versus the Browns, versus the Ravens, and like they're a turnover ratio of 5. So I think this team, like, if you were to I'll ask you this question: where do you rate this team in comparison to another team in the NFL? That's a good way to put it. Where would you say this team would be like an NFC team? What would you think who they are?
To answer your question, I think NFC is really hard, but maybe like the Cowboys. Like, we've got some stars, but like we don't have, and we've got some running backs on paper, but it just doesn't, and we've got good pass rush, but it just all doesn't quite come together. Like, you see the potential, but it doesn't work necessarily. I don't know. Like, if I went AFC, I don't really see a comparison because the AFC, you've got a lot of top teams like the Bills. You've got that need to do better. Miami that needs to do better. I don't think we've got the dynamic nature of either of those two teams. I think it's really, I think it's really hard in that way. But maybe the Cowboys. Like, we're better than the Cardinals. Maybe even the Rams. The team we're playing, right? Like, obviously they've got a really good quarterback and they've got a good wide receiver. We've got 2 good wide receivers in DJ. Obviously, it's whether he comes back this week or not. We haven't heard that yet. Now, that might have come out by the time this podcast goes to air because of when we're recording it. But no, I kind of feel like the Cowboys are a good comparison.
I think DJ said he's coming back. We haven't heard officially if he's coming back.
Yeah, correct. And so I see it on an injury report. I don't count it. And also, I don't know about Freemuth too, right? So
yeah. But with the Cowboys, the Chargers is a team we're very similar to because
they've got a better quarterback than we do, but they've got good, decent receivers like we do. They've got decent tight ends like we do. They've got a great safety like we do. They've got good pass rush like we do. They've got Mac, who had didn't he have a 6-sack game recently, 2 weeks ago. They've got Joey Bosa there. They've got an okay developing defensive line. Linebackers are a bit so. So yeah, actually, the Chargers are probably who we're most like, and their O-line is average. So that is better than the Cowboys. We are like the Los Angeles Chargers.
It's funny too because both those teams are versing tomorrow or today when it comes out. So it's Cowboys versus Chargers. Yeah, I think we're kind of like exactly
there you
the same.
go, guys. There you can see the potential of us.
But like, I think we're like middle of the pack. We're not a great team. We're not an elite team like the Chiefs, like when they play football. We're not like the Eagles, even though the Eagles lost today. And I wouldn't freak out if you're an Eagles fan. You'll be fine. Don't worry. But we're not like Denver Broncos where the offense is absolutely terrible and they can't move anything. And it's not working out there with Sean Payton, those guys. We're not that bad. We're somewhere in the middle where like, are we like the Saints? Saints are like 3-3. They're like an even average team with Derek Carr out there. I don't know. I feel like the Steelers haven't had their identity in for a long time. Like we had the defense.
Though. I think we're in a much harder division than the Saints, and I think the Saints for a long time have been very hit and miss. Like they're a team that does get like, and I know like what I'm going to say makes it sound like the Steelers, but I think the Saints are, a 10-7 team, a 9-8 team, an 8-9 team. Like they sort of hover around a positive record. And yeah, so maybe we're similar in that regard, but I just think like the Chargers, it's one where we've got good players. We bring in decent draft picks. We never can seem over the last, the Chargers has been going on for 30 or 40 years now, but or at least since the 90s. But in the last decade, or basically since our last Super Bowl appearance, we can't seem to get a good enough team across the board. Like we've either got a really good defense or a really good offense, or we just can't seem to.
Yeah,
there's always something missing, right? And even on the offense or the defense, like, because when I started watching the NFL, I was watching Steelers and Chargers, and I've told that story 1,000 times. But like the Chargers O-line has been a problem for like literally the last 15 years. That's been their biggest problem. Even when they went to the AFC final game against the Jets, the AFC Championship game. But like for us, it's been the O-line for a long time. For them, it was defensive backs for a long time. It's been defensive backs for us for a long time. They've always had a decent quarterback, decent wide receivers. At times, they've had a decent running back. We've been the same thing. They've not, since LaDainian Tomlinson left for New York, they've never had a running back that's really lasted more than 4 or 5 years. We've been in the same boat. So like, even if you look at what Lab Bell did, so there's a lot of comparisons, and they're also in a division that eats itself. Like now that everyone could say that every division eats itself, but there's always 3 decent teams in the AFC West, and there's always 3 decent teams in the AFC North. Now, in some years, yes, there's 2. Sometimes there's 4 teams in either one of them. But these 2 this year, everyone in the offseason said either the AFC West or the AFC North were going to have 3 teams in the playoffs, minimum 2 teams. Now, AFC West right now, I've got to go through the results of today's game, of this week's set of games. But going into week 6, there were 3 teams with a negative record in the AFC West. There were 3 teams with a negative record in the AFC North, but there was more wins in the AFC North than there was the AFC West. So, yeah, I think we're very similar to the Chargers. And it's funny because if you go back over the last 5 or 6 seasons when we've made the playoffs, the Chargers have always been in the mix in the last 2 weeks with the Steelers. So it is a very good comparison to what we're dealing with here. And we've all got to go and play the same top teams, like the Bills, the Bengals in previous years, the Miami Dolphins going back 4 or 5 years, the Patriots, all those sort of different teams that come into the mix. So the Jags as well. But yeah, I think we're very similar in that regard. And I think it's a good lesson for Steeler fans as well, that like those that hate on Kenny Pickett, if you don't have the right team around you, you're not going to be successful. So we can have someone like a Justin Herbert, but if he doesn't have the right team around him, he's stuck. And it's a good comparison too, actually, because the Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers comparison. Ben had an okay O-line. Ben had a top quality defense. But Ben didn't have the wide receivers that Phillip Rivers had at times. Ben didn't have some of the defensive backs that the Chargers had at certain times. Ben never had the running back that was the quality of LaDainian Tomlinson. But what's the difference is that in the trenches, the Steelers have always been better, and that's won them Super Bowls. And right now in the trenches, we're not so good. And that's the problem. So I think, if and it's also a good comparison because Charger fans for so long, and one of my best mates is a Chargers fan, and he'll tell you, like, one of the frustrating things is there's always potential. Like, I remember sitting with him on draft days, and like they had decent drafts, and these guys all look really good on paper, and then they don't develop into anything. I feel like the Steelers have gone from being a Bills level quality, Chiefs level quality in like a decade ago to slipping into mediocrity into the Chargers level, where it's like we're not going to have losing seasons necessarily, but we're not going to ever show any potential. And so they've got to find their way to move from mediocrity and okayness back into that upper echelon. And there's only so much of drafting and free agency you can do that. Sometimes you just have to play better. And they just have to play better. Like, and even putting, like, as you said, let's try and move on from the Canada conversation because it's not going to change likely in the next, for the next 12, 13 games. So, and I say 13 if they make the playoffs. So, putting that aside, the players aren't playing well across the board. They got to play better. I mean, that's as simple as it gets. I mean, that sounds simple, but it's that common, I'm going a bit of a rant here, but it's that common analogy of like KISS strategy of keep it simple, stupid, right? And the thing that I find alarming is that they talk about practice. They talk about that wasn't good enough last year. They talked about how good that was this year in the preseason and in OTAs. But then they talk about how things have sort of slipped up in the offseason since the season started, and they've needed to get back on that. So it's two things the Steelers have got to do is the acronym of keep it simple, stupid in KISS, and the 7 Ps, not the 6 Ps, the 7 Ps. Prior planning prevents piss poor performance. And they need to come out with a game plan that's going to win. They need to come out with practice that's going to win. They need to take advantage of matchups. But I caveat that with, it is hard to do that and take advantage of matchups when you miss someone like Deontay Johnson, who is a big part of the offense, and you miss a Cameron Hayward. So now with those, and a Pat Freiermuth as well. So as those guys start to work their way into the lineup, these things should become easier. And then when you think about starting well, as you said on the first 3 drives, keeping it simple with the run game and prior planning prevents piss poor performance, having a 3-game home stretch coming up less than 2 weeks after your bye, if you can't make the most of that in the next 4 games and win at bare minimum 2, hope for like 3, and with a hope of 4, at least being in it in one of the games to try and get 4 games. If you can't do that now, well, good luck to you, because the miracle that you're going to have to perform in after that point on the rest of the season is going to be pretty fucking hard, pardon my language. But if they can't go 3 out of 4 here, it will be hard. They won't make the playoffs is my dead declaration now. And I think they will struggle to win 9 games and have a winning season if they can't win 3 out of the next 4.
If they can't win 3 out of 4, at least have like you said, right? They have to then go to Ohio back-to-back, which is Bengal territory, and also the Browns. And as the Browns showed today, they're a pretty tough team on defense. And also Bengals are starting to figure it out. So, yeah. But you know what? I always come back to this too. And I think, like, looking around the league now, I just counted on the AFC side, with the Bills losing now, and by the time this comes out, we'll find out who wins. But there are 7 teams on 3 wins. This whole season right now, no one's besides like the Chiefs. I reckon Eagles, Lions are up there. They're playing really good football. Like teams like that, everyone else is kind of like good, but even the Steelers can't be good just yet. Do you know what I mean? Like they're like we know how they can be good, but we just haven't seen that domination from them on the offense. Like they've only scored 5 TDs. They've scored 7 TDs on offense. I'm pretty sure. No, 5 TDs on offense. Two were special teams. Yeah. So this needs to be, like you said, more preparation.
You know, it's a bit like watching a TV series, right? And most pilot episodes or episode 1 of a TV series aren't that good, right? They only have to pique your interest enough that you'll watch season, you'll try and watch a few more episodes. Then episode 2 or 3, it starts getting a little bit better. You're like, I don't know whether I'm fully into this. And then if it's good 4, 5, and 6, you usually will finish out the season of, 10, 12, 14, 16, however many episodes it is. But we've seen episode 1, I feel like we've seen episode 2, and like we're now about to enter because we've seen them get smacked by one of the best teams in the league. We've seen them win 2 division games. So now we're getting episode 3, which is away to, again, a good test, away West Coast where they don't traditionally play well. Another good NFC team that's on the rise, like the Rams are on the rise. And then they come home for episode 4, which is the 3-game home stretch. So if by episode 4, they got a problem, this season of the TV series is going to be a problem.
I tell you what, with that analogy, if they go out to the Rams, right, and they lose, it's going to feel like Lost when they open the hatch. You know, when they open the hatch and you're like, now this sucks. Like there was so much fun and anticipation. Now it sucks. Now the whole thing is like, what is this? What is that dark mist of a cloud? Like it just feels like, whatever. But if they win the game, the anticipation of like this team getting better, like I know they can always get better, but we're just not seeing that consistency on the offense and on the defense. We're like,
but it's
wow,
so hard to win in the NFL, and it's hard to win.
Oh, it is hard to win in the NFL. It really is hard. It's 100% hard,
and that's why you've got to take advantage. Like, can you remember the last time we had 3 games in a row at home?
Oh, probably like 2015 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like I think it was like 16 or 17. Like I think it was 16. I think we had 2 in a row twice in 17. But and someone in the comments when they watch this back will tell us straight away. But I guess my point being is like, you know, I think the Steelers have to take advantage of this. They have to take advantage of this starting with against the Rams, because as I said, if they go on a 4-game winning streak now. They're 7-2, mate. Like 7-2, they've only got to win another 3 games for the rest of the season. I mean, that's huge. After you've only played 9 games, they just have to go 500 for the rest of the season.
Yeah, but I just want to see them be competitive, right, on the offensive side of the ball, and like I think like just run down the field and have the game plan actually work. And it feels like they have a game plan, but it doesn't seem to work until the third quarter. How long can you float above water with some teams? You know what I'm saying? Like the Ravens game, like right near the end. It was a crazy game. You and I have watched it 2 or 3 times.
You know what, though? Game. I will say this. With how the Rams have been playing, and they played the Cardinals, whose defense is atrocious. Like they win games on their offense. They don't win games because of their defense. And people say, well, they've held teams back. They have, but their defense is like very vulnerable. And they rely on it. They've over-relied on it already more than we have, even as Steelers, right? I think this could be a bit like that Chargers game a couple of years ago where Devin Bush was a rookie. I feel like they could go away and the defense, if they can shut them down early, then get a couple of runs and really outplay Aaron Donald. This team, like I kind of feel like this could be a bit of a surprise score. Like the Steelers could rack up points because they're playing short fields. They're playing, the defense is having an absolute field day. There's a couple of defensive scores or some key turnovers. I actually could see this, out of all the games we've played and looking for through the rest of the schedule, this actually could be the one blowout game if the Steelers can get it right and rock up to play. Like
take over LA like they did with that game. Was it
now? I don't know when they went out. I don't know what their plans are over the bye. And I know they can't tell players where to go. And I know there's people been doing holidays and stuff. Like TJ Watt's somewhere near the coast. I saw that because I saw his Instagram with his wife and stuff like that. But if I were them, I would have said every player, go start holidaying in California. It's like pretty much as soon as we finish with the team stuff before you get time off during the bye, everyone straight to California, get in the time zone, get ready, go. Like, get accustomed, get working out up there, get Kenny Pickett out there in the hotter weather with the receivers, warming up, doing, getting all that extra practice in. I would have done that because if they're locked in now, it would have made such a difference.
Do you want to hear some fun facts? So the Steelers, I'm looking at the history between them. They are the Rams lead 15-10 plus 2 draws, which is kind of crazy. In 2019, the Steelers won at home versus the Rams 17-12. The Steelers versus the Rams in 2015 at St. Louis, they won 12-6. And then we also have, that's crazy score, by the way. We also have the Rams. So we've beaten them 4 times in a row. And the last loss came to was they beat us in 2003. St. Louis Rams beat us 33-21. So we haven't played them. We played the
I
Chargers.
remember that game we played
Ravens.
them in 2019 that we played them when Okorafor had that good game and we were meant to, was it 2021? Was it 2019 or 2021 that we last played?
2019, they won 17-12.
Yeah. And that game, everyone said that we were going to get smashed. Because remember, Ben was out that game. Ben was out. I remember that.
Yeah, that was the Mason game, right? So we haven't actually versed them in their house. Like we've been to the Chargers, the same stadium, but we haven't actually been there. But we've Steelers have won there 4 times. Now this is different because with Steelers did beat the Raiders over that way. But I just feel like there's like not a must-win game, but if you put like a statement game of like we're kind of back mentality, this would be it. Like, you get 100
especially
yards
against a rising, as you say, and against a rising team in the NFL. Like the Rams are a rising team.
Yeah, so we had Minka had the last game we played. Minka returned a 43-yard fumble.
That's right.
And Mason Rudolph got sacked for a safety by Aaron Donald, and we won 17-12.
Yeah.
So what do you do with that? And now they're the LA Rams, so out west. I think this would be one to like not get Steel Nation back on our side of like, we're going to go here, going to go there. But you get a good convincing win of like 25, 26 points, good offense, score a TD and a TD here and there. We'll talk more as the week goes, but this would be kind of fun. I think it's not a must need, but it'd be like a statement game of like, we beat them. Here we are, 4-2. We're getting better. That's what we need. Honestly, that's what we need. If they lose this one, we've got to start again. You know what I mean? We got to start again. It's not over. We got to start again. I think it's getting tough because the Texan game that hurt us, and then we beat the Ravens. So if we lose this one, then you got to go. Then you have to.
Surely, if they lose, Surely, if they lose this one and the offense absolutely stinks worse than it did last week, like let's say they put up 3 points or 6 points, 2 field goals. Surely, then it's bye Matt Canada. Like I don't want to get back into the Canada thing, but surely at that point, it's like, come on, man.
I don't know, dude.
Especially with a 3-game home stretch.
Yeah, that's why I've given up, man. I'm just trying to cheer the offense. I know what you're saying, but I'm not. I don't know. I have no idea.
I still reckon what we talked about on TDU around crowdfunding with Steeler fans to pay Matt Canada out of his contract. I still think that's something.
I think that's what I've noticed. The theme is just some people still keep saying and that, right? But you have like time off. And you settle down a bit, and then you see the same product, you're like, oh, no. So you want to have time off and then see a different product because the fellas are there. The size of the fellas are there. The guys up front are there.
He's like the Dazen of coaching. Let's just put it that way. He's the Dazen of coaching.
What doesn't work when you need it to?
Yeah.
It
doesn't work at all.
The guys like, the running backs, they're there. Like you probably hopefully get McFarland back soon. If he comes back for this game, he can do kickoff returns. They got speedy guys like Austin. You got guys like Pickens playing well. Kenny's playing a bit off, but he can play better. The dudes are there. They just got to get everything.
The buy has come at a good time for Kenny Pickens.
It has. 100%. Yeah. He can now look back and go, okay, I did this really bad, yada, 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 and let's get better. Right?
Yeah.
So,
and I think the coaching staff need to overall on offense and Mike Tomlin need to take greater responsibility. I mean, they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't. If they played Pickett more in the preseason, he got injured, everyone would be furious. But he needed more time in the preseason than what he played. I think that's abundantly clear.
I think there was one of the Steelers guys. It was Bob Labrio. I think was talking about this. They were scoring too early.
Yes,
they weren't actually identifying drives. They were just scoring.
No, they were just yeah.
And I was like, yes, let's go. And I was like, well, where's the 2-minute stuff? Where's the kind of stuff? But we kind of saw that with the Ravens game. They came back, nothing was working, and then you saw Warren have 3 big plays. You saw Pickens get involved, and it started working. But to me, that just takes too long because if you do that with other teams,
sorry, keep going. Sorry.
Well, if you do that with other teams, like the Rams will kill you. If you let them be 20 points to 10 or 20 points to 9 or whatever, you're done with one more drive to make 27-9. And then we can't get that. So you have to be fast.
What I was going to say is that like this team could have easily been 2-3, could have been 1-4.
Easy,
right?
Yeah.
Easy, right? And then we'd still be going, there's hope. These are things they've got to do to win. And they could have come back from it because they came back from it last year. At least we are going in 3-2 with 2 division wins.
All right. All I want to say is when you look at the schedule, the standings, There are teams like the New England Patriots wish they were us right now. There are teams like the Denver Broncos wish they had Mike Tomlin. I tell you what. And there are teams like Chicago Bears and the Carolina Panthers and Cardinals. So we're not that bad. We're just on the seesaw of like could be good and just not there just yet. But if they actually turn up and we see a big game with after a, you know what, I got to go check the stats too. Let me see it now. I got to find out Mike Tomlin. Do you know Mike Tomlin after the bye?
Yeah, he's like
what it is?
I think he's like 19-4 or 19-3 or something.
Oh
wait, that's not possible because of the years. I think he's like 15-4 or something.
What is Mike Tomlin's? What? It's giving me 61, 28-1. What? That doesn't make sense.
That's after a loss, I think.
Oh, that's like the Steelers after the bye. Oh wow. I can't find it, but when we do find it,
but does it have it by year?
No, I'll bring it. Oh, I can't find the actual thing.
You could just do 2006.
Oh, here it is, 11-4. 11-4. I found it.
There you go. Yeah.
From Mike Tomlin, 11-4 after a bye. So there you go. And the recent one was Cleveland Browns were 15-10. That's a crazy score. 2020 Philadelphia Eagles were 38-29 in the Claypool game. 2019 was Miami Dolphins 27-14. So we get a big game like that, we're cheering. And 2018
the Ravens after the bye. Remember we had the bye moved up.
Not from what I see here. No, the Ravens game was like on a Wednesday. It's a weird Wednesday.
Oh, that's right.
The last game after a bye came at the loss versus the Ravens in 2016. We had 2014, 2015, 2016. We all lost, right? So that's pretty good record. 11-4. Oh, Mike Tomlin sucks. Fire Tomlin. The dude after a bye is 11-4. It's not too bad. So they're like it's there.
It's almost 80%. It's like 74%.
Yeah, it's there. It's and you know what I saw too? Mike Tomlin's record versus AFC North is like 60-30 or something.
Yeah.
Like, oh, fire Mike Tomlin. They don't get it. There's nothing behind the words of fire Tomlin. There's nothing behind that. There's nothing. Whereas let him go. And I think if they win this game, and we'll talk more later on, but if they win this game, they're back on track, but win convincingly, then we'll have Steeler Nation calm down a little bit. I'm keen for it. I just want to see him smack.
So what you're saying is there's a chance.
Tell me there's a chance. Well, 3-2, it's not as bad as the others. Like Denver Broncos, man, you look at them. I've got my mate Gage who runs Denver Broncos Syndic, right? Their team is in shambles. The Broncos can't do anything. Like they're a shell of a team. They got no defense. They can't run the ball. Russell Wilson, they did all this. That's his experiment. Denver Bronco fans are like, this is stupid. Give up the whole year. They're done. They are actually done with their team. We're kind of like we're in the middle. And if we win this game, it gets better because then we're 4-2.
Well, we should be trading Kenny Pickett for Russell Wilson and Pat Surtain.
No, don't trade Kenny Pickett. I don't understand why you trade Kenny Pickett.
No, I'm joking for the fans out there. I don't.
I got one more question for you, right? Actually, I heard this before. They wanted to start Trubisky, right? Is that a possibility?
Why?
No, I know.
That's the thing about that's my common question to a lot of people is like, why? It's like fire Mike Tomlin. Okay, well, who are you replacing him with? Why would you put in Trubisky over Kenny Pickett? Who, like, I think people. I also think there's bullshit out there around like Kenny Pickett's arm strength. Kenny Pickett has shown this season his arm strength has gotten a lot better, right? And like, he's just better across the board. He's better than Mitch at like mobility. He's better at Mitch in the pocket. He's better at Mitch in the deep ball. He's better than Mitch off the play action. He's more clutch than Mitch. He doesn't throw interceptions like Mitch does in the clutch. Like I just, it's kind of like anything you can do, I can do better. So I don't understand that.
Also, if you start Mitch too, you kind of go backwards with the offense again. So, but I got another question before we start to wrap up. Who is one player that the Steelers haven't utilized that they need to really win games? Like really get after it.
It's an easy one to say Freiermuth, right? But I go back to my old mate, especially with Deontay out, is Allen Robinson. I don't think he's remotely being used properly.
He's got 27 targets, I think, and I think 20 catches for 100 yards.
Yeah. Look, I would like to say Calvin Austin, but Calvin Austin is in his rookie year, so you don't expect him through 5 games to necessarily be used heaps. But I don't think, and the other one, I don't think they use Najee properly in the short passing game. And I have said that for 18 months now. I said that all last season. I said it this year as well. I don't even think Ben used him well in 2022 versus 2020. In 2021 versus I don't think Ben used him well, but they didn't use him remotely like Ben used him last year. So I think they've got to use Najee better in the short passing game. They've got to use Allen Robinson in the intermediate passing game. And that's exactly what's going to happen. And Holcomb, they need to continue to scheme Holcomb right, because Holcomb could be incredible for this team. He could be Farrier 2.0. He just needs to be schemed right. And that also comes down to how the guys are playing around him too.
Yeah, and with your Robinson thing too, I think he's 17 catches for 26 targets, but only 8.1 yard average. And it's always those short routes, those real short routes before the sticks. That's all you ever see. You never see anything.
I think look at his average depth of target, though. I think it's like 5.2 or something.
Yeah. And you don't even see, I saw another analyst talking about this too, where the Steelers don't have like any open receivers where they're running with the ball, continuing the same play. They just do stop and.
That's why that narrative that Canada keeps scheming people open is a load of crap, because it's not true.
Yeah, they never catch.
It's actually not true. If you look at tape, those guys are rarely ever open. So they might be open because of a breakdown in the play, and obviously you want to take advantage of that. But they're not open. They're not open until after Kenny Pickett's almost had his head buried in the dirt. You know,
the one thing I hate about the offense that does run is the way they cut off half the field. I saw an image the other day. It was like 15 or 10 passes where there was light to the left hand side because they do a design rollout, and next minute then you've cut off 35% of the field. And if nothing's there, nothing's there. I know it's meant to go that way to trick the defense, but I feel like NFL defenses can figure that out.
But my problem, I don't like the roll. I mean, I know the run game's not been working, so it doesn't work if the run game's not working. But like, I don't like the amount of shotgun rollouts. If they're going to do rollouts, I want to see that off of play action.
What are your thoughts too about Najee and shotgun a lot? He's always in shotgun and runs the ball with like a, starting like gonna.
And he's not designed to. I've talked about this. Yeah. He's not the same as Lav Bell. You know how I told that comparison a couple of weeks ago with the offensive line, Warren versus Najee. This is exactly the point. Najee, if Najee is not fast enough in the NFL to sit there and wait for the when everyone's rushing at him, trying to get past them and running to the outside or spotting the gap, he needs the gap to open up and hit the hole with a punch, right? Or the hole to open up as he's bursting through. So this, like Warren in shotgun, yes. And also, the other thing about Naj, as Ben likes to call him, and because Ben always talks him up, Najee doesn't block as well as Jaylen Warren. So why the F is he lining up in shotgun? Warren should be lining shotgun up, because then it's much easier for Kenny Pickett to call an audible mid-play, or to throw the ball instead of running the ball and do a fake handoff. He can communicate that to Warren a lot better if there's nothing on. And if there's nothing on, Warren can block him why someone that's curling out, like a curl route or someone running out to the flat, like a Freiermuth or a Washington, or even a Connor Haywood, which we've seen a little bit of that from Connor Haywood. Warren will buy you that time in the passing game, or for a guy to break free of the cornerback or the safety. So I don't understand why we're seeing so much Najee in the shotgun. I think that's poor schematics.
I did like the other day in that run that Warren got from the jet sweep, the reverse, where they had both Najee and Warren on the field together. I thought that was kind of cool. I thought
we'd see a lot more of that coming into the season.
I think it's trying to come in, but we want to see more of those guys in there, because the next minute the defense doesn't know who to follow. You know, and they got to use too, I think, Haywood more as well. Like in a lot of preseason stuff, we saw these things happening, moving around, the motions, getting open in the middle of the field. And it just feels like everything's really short, or the play is designed to get 5 yards. And we should be getting things designed for 8-10 yards or down the field play. So I'm hopeful this team, always hopeful, but I hope this team, they can turn around. But this is a pretty big game. Like, they need this bye, and now they need the win. They don't win here, Pittsburgh's going to blow up again. It's going to explode again.
So to close out the show, I wanted to ask you, we're going to do more previewing the game, and we're going to get back into that. No more Canada talk and a lot more stats and all that sort of stuff this week. But as we get into the preparation for the week, what's the one thing you're hoping to hear out of Steelers, the Steelers camp, put it that way, that it's going to fill you with a bit of confidence, just as a fan, from a fan perspective?
Probably, you know what? This might be, I'll say two things. one thing is I know Pat Peterson's doing his talk on his podcast, and it'd be cool if we ever get him on as a guest, right? If it's on here or still was. But I am kind of getting a bit frustrated how he's always calling at the teams. He's got the stuff, and I know Cameron Hayward does it too, and I understand that you talk, but like when you call out other teams, I feel like they play tougher. Now he called out Brock Purdy, next minute, got done. He did call out Little Munchkin, which was, I think, Zay Flowers, right? And he had a game, but still, we won that game. I know he has, like he's doing the podcast thing. I kind of want to hear less, or at least like how you say, a more controlled media talk than just what you're saying, because he's still part of the team. Like he's part of the team right now. Now, Brian McFadden, he's a good bloke too, but he goes through all the betting stuff and he says the Steelers are going to win. And it's like, well, he's the podcaster. You have a podcaster and you have a player. I think that dynamic is kind of new, actually, to the NFL. What is because, the internet's quite...
Yeah, and I've been listening to Cam Jordan's podcast. It's a bit similar.
Yeah, and there's another bloke, who's the guy on the 49ers, Fred Warner? He's got a good one too with his wife. Like, he had a great play today, but everyone's doing that and you have to back it up. So how much will he talk with this? I'm not saying it's that bad, but still, that's ammunition for the other guys. And also, I think, too, the accountability of, like, we just need to see a fast start. Steelers got to have a fast start. Steeler Nation is very sick of the excuses after. We didn't do this. We didn't have big splash, big plays, or weighty downs, or whatever. I understand the frustration. I understand the frustration. I really do. But Steeler Nation and Steelers have to just wake up and go down the field for 7 points or 3, back it up and get 10-0. When's the last time we've won it? We've been leading a game with 10-0 or 13-0. Don't know. Long time. So and they're playing, and they're also like they're playing that way, right? They're playing that's a mentality of playing that way, to be just in the game all the time to win it right near the end. And that's been 3 or 4, maybe 5 years, or the same way. Yeah. Where's the go out in this mentality of go on, just execute the plays and be up by 14 points, 13 points. If we see that, then we'll start to feel like we're back on this train of playoff talk. But we're nowhere near it. We just got to get good. I'm hopeful. I'm like, I want to see us win, but I just don't see it at the moment.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Well, Marky D, thank you very much for joining me on Steelers Mad Monday. It's been good as always. Crazy week, as you said, of NFL games. Everything. I think the takeaway for me right now, before you close out the show, as always, is the Steelers' destiny is in their hands. They just got to make sure they don't fumble it.
Yes. They don't gunner it up. Yeah, man. I don't know. I just give us a good win so we can just chill for a week. Like a nice, good, competitive win.
Just feel good after a win. Yeah. I feel insecure about it. You know what I mean? That's kind of like...
Well, I felt good after the Ravens win. It was a great game. I thought it was a great game, a great win, right? It was. But can we just have one where like, the offense gets 3 TDs and 270 yards and big plays, and like, oh my goodness, did you see how wide open Calvin Austin got there? Or Pickens had, I don't know, just something like that. Or Najee he's not getting picked on. You know what I mean? It does come back to the offense though, overall. Because defense, man, they're on fire. Like, dude, TJ Watt, he can win it by himself. He kind of is. Is that my cue?
Yeah, I got nothing else. So I think you killed it. So.
All right, go Steelers. Here we go.